Hi, it's Lou Dello, and I want to welcome you to tonight's Tech Tool Trainings. This is the Tech Tool part of the Guru Product Blueprint training that you're in. Today's flow, in your email, you had seen me talk about Website Essentials, so I'm going to actually delay that for our next for a future meeting because today it seemed like there was a lot of interest around the idea of how do I actually do this niche selection. I know the theory about finding the demand and getting the keywords and all that kind of stuff, but how do I actually do it? What are the tools I use? Where do I look online? Those kinds of things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'll show you basically the tools I use to get a feeling that the market that I'm after and the idea that I have is actually a good one. Because what we want to do, obviously, what you're learning from Eben is that you want to win in advance, which basically means before you start investing a lot of time, money, and energy developing products, it's really good to know that you have a certain level of confidence that, there are actually people out there already spending money on this stuff and looking for more solutions. So we're going to talk about ways to do that, and then we're going to talk about some of the development frameworks and tools that I use. Some of which I've learned from Eben. Some of them, I've adapted myself, and I'll show you the tool that is my favorite of all. Which is an adaptation of Eben's, most popular one, the why, what, how, what, if. I think you're going to like this. And then if I can work out the desktop stuff here, I'll pop up a couple of mind maps and I'll just kind of show you how to do this. Now let's have a look at niche selection. So really this is what I would call doing research on your market and your avatar. And our goal here is to sort of get a sense that the people that we want to address and the avatar that we're serving actually do exist. They exist in adequate numbers, and they not only are looking for information, but they're looking for products and services. They're looking for solutions that they're willing to invest in. So you may know about some of these things, you may not. So let me just walk through them quickly, and then maybe I'll pull up a browser and I'll give you an example of how you might use them. So Google Trends is essentially one of the Google tools, and Google puts out a lot of really great tools that you can use for market research. Now Google Trends is one of them. This is kind of a high-level tool where you get to know what's trendy, what's hot. And if you're in the kind of business, I don't know, maybe you're working with celebrities or popular culture or media or something like that, Google Trends is very, very useful. But it's also useful to get a sense of how active your market may be if you have an idea of what the keywords for that market may be. Google Insights is just a little bit deeper version of Google Trends where you can put specific keywords in related to your market, and you can get a sense of how much activity there is in the internet universe for that keyword, and you can look for about a year back so that you can see whether the trend is positive, negative, flat, and so on. And of course, Google Keywords, this is really important because on the internet, in a big way, keywords are kind of the currency of the internet. They are, when you're doing any kind of content marketing, you're doing blog posts, you're doing YouTube videos, you're doing Facebook posts, article syndication, any of the content that you put out there with the intention of reaching your audience, if you have a good idea of the keywords that your audience uses when they're looking for that kind of content, and you optimize your products for it, you're going to get a lot of benefit from Google. You're going to get a lot of free traffic coming to your site. So you definitely want to have an idea of which keywords there are. And also, keywords are important because they give you a sense. If you do a search on a keyword and there's only 100 of them every month, that's not really a lot of demand. If there's 100,000 on the other hand every month, that is a lot of demand. So they give you a sense of how much interest there is on the internet, how many people are actively seeking out information, and hopefully some subset of those looking for products related to the keywords in the industry that you're looking at. Let's roll on here. And actually, I think what I'll do is let me see if I can hop back, keep this as my, before we go into the next slides, I want to maybe give you a quick look at what these sites look like and how we could use them. So, okay, so some of the things we were looking at, let's just go over to google.com to begin with. And by the way, you're going to notice that most of these things are going to be google.com/trends/insights/keywords. You know what we're looking for, so they shouldn't be too hard to find. So we'll look at trends. And in trends here, what we're looking at is what's going on in the world today and what are the hot searches. Now, most of us, I think, I want to say generally speaking, most of us aren't going to be in the mass market trending, but there might be some of us who are. So, for example, I look at this and I have like no interest in any of this. Now, the reason you may want to look up trends to begin with, though, is you may want to sometimes put out a press release or an article and you want to ride a trend. So if you can make a connection between something that's really trendy and you could make an observation or a comment, or you can provide a perspective on it. It's always good to optimize your to write a post or to put a video out with those keywords in there, right? Because then you're going to get some search engine traffic. Now it's not going to be entirely all qualified unless there's a very direct connection between what you're observing and what people are talking about. Okay, so Star Wars, Blockbuster, none of these things really are relevant to me. But let's have a look here. You could look at earthquakes. Maybe there's an element of, you want to write about what to do if you're doing any kind of survival work. There's a whole industry, there's a whole group of people who are interested in survival techniques and survival preparation and those kinds of things. So it may actually be to your advantage to know that earthquakes is a big point of interest. There's a lot of activity right now around interests. Randy Travis, oh, that poor guy. Looks like he's been put in jail and he's all beaten and bloodied. Okay, so you get the idea, right? Here's where you're looking for what's going on in the world. This isn't sometimes you'll find that this is relevant in a big way, like if you've got a new idea. Sometimes it's just topical and timely that you're looking for here. Yeah, I mean, this Mars thing, wasn't that amazing? Curiosity going to Mars. Well, if if you were in that world, if you were in technology, if you had a comment to make about the technology they used and the costs or how efficient and accurate the landing was and what computers they used and all that computing powers in your iPad or whatever, this is a great thing to sort of ride the wave of. But generally speaking, unless you're in this industry of celebrity and popular culture and so on, this is not going to be as useful. What will be a little bit more useful, I think, is if you have trends for websites. This is the one that I'm really thinking of. And the idea here would be that you could put up a website or a keyword here and find out how popular it is. Now, where you'd want to use this, for example, is let's say that you were into fitness, or let's say natural wellness. And you see that naturalwellnessonline.com is the top of the search engines. And you want to see, well, how that's at the top of the search engines, right? So how active is it? Natural wellness. Okay, and I want to see, yeah, see, not enough data to display. So probably in terms of that particular area, that this website is not getting any traction. There's no advertising here, so that tells me that the keyword natural wellness is probably not one that's sought after too widely. But let's look at maybe health and wellness. Okay, well, so now we're getting a little bit of advertising, so that's probably a good sign. Then we have a government site here that's not really that interesting to us. Teen health and wellness. All right, well, let's just for fun see how popular this is. Okay, again, not a whole lot of information. So what if I just did health and wellness as keywords? There's got to be stuff there, right? Okay, let's look at it this way. There we go. Okay, this is better. So now what we're looking at is in terms of website activity for the keywords of health and wellness, we're looking at the volume here. Now, the way that this site works, it's telling you relative to all of the activity on the internet, how active is this search phrase. So 1 would be the same as the average of the activity, and if it's below 1, it's less than the average activity. If it's above 1, it's more than the average activity of the universe of keyword phrases. So what this is telling us is that it's not bad. I mean, but it's not really, it's nice and flat. This is a good thing overall, and it has spikes of interest and decline, and it's okay. I mean, something like this is fine because it's as active as sort of the midpoint of all the universe of websites on the of keywords on the internet. So we're looking at a pretty good keyword here. Not great, it's not going upwards, it's not scoping up, but it's not ranging up in a big way, but it is continuously active, and it is at least at the midpoint of the overall activity on the internet. So that's not too bad. And we can look down and see where those keywords are getting most interest: Canada, US, Philippines, South Africa. So it's good for me, for example, to know that Canada, US is up here, because those are my two core markets. And it's good to see that there's a lot of activity here, although I would have loved to seen it going up, trending up, but that's okay, because there's more and more sites on the internet every year, and there's more and more keywords being competed for, and so on. So I would just kind of go along with that. What would cause major spikes and declines, says Leonard? A lot of it has to do with maybe visibility. If there's a particular event, or let's say that there was maybe during the Olympics people get more interested in it, or maybe there's like a cancer run or a worldwide event. A lot of it is kind of news based, and it's just an event or a news issue that people really relate to. I'm not sure what would cause such a decline. That's kind of weird, but there could be countless number of reasons for the decline. I'm thinking most of them are going to be based on news events. But the important thing is, if they recover back to neutral and hopefully the trend increases, then it's going to be something worth considering. Now, what I'm going to tell you later on is, you're not looking here for something scientific, because this data is not 100% accurate. And they are all averages and so on. But what you're looking for is you're looking for footprints, right? You're looking for evidence of activity, interest, and commerce. So this is the first top level of it. It's the most generic, the most general. It's the indicator that says, okay, not bad. I'm at least at one, and at least I'm over the years it's been a steady amount of interest. Now, if I looked at regions, I might find, for example, that let me see, in Canada. Yeah, see, in Canada it's declining a little bit, so maybe I might wonder whether I want to focus on Canada. But again, it's still above 1, which is good. So it's better than the average, but it's interesting that it's in a bit of a decline. It is in a bit of a decline, but I still look at anything above 1 as being active. That's good. Below 1, it's still not a bad thing, but it's not as much as the average search in the universe of keywords. So anyway, don't get hung up on this. As long as you're seeing that it's above 1, or it averages around 1, or it has an upward trend, then that's an indicator. Now, the lack of that is not necessarily saying it's not good. It's just saying that, at least for those keywords, you haven't really found the ideal situation, because you might find that fitness, for example, which is related to one of your areas of interest, you may look at, see, now this is a better thing, right? So fitness as a keyword is a little bit more interesting, because it does have spikes of interest, but it never really goes too far below 0. So as an indicator of interest, fitness might be one that you want to key in on more than something like what did I have, health and wellness before. Now, if you want to compare a bunch of these keywords, then what you'd like to do is head over to Google Insights for search. So let's say I say health and wellness is one of the terms I might be looking at. Another one might be fitness. Maybe another one is lose weight. And the other one is burn fat. Okay? And so if I want to get a sense of which one of these I would want to focus on, this is pretty much telling me that I would want to focus on the orange, which is fitness. Okay, because relative to these 4 keywords, the word that gets the most attention is fitness. But of course, it's also a fairly, it's a fairly generic, broad word. So let me try something a little bit more specific. Let me see, health and fitness. I don't know if that makes a difference. Yeah, see, so in this case, what I'm looking at is that lose weight seems to have a lot more activity than health and fitness. So it looks like health is not necessarily the best word for us to look for. Wellness might be good. Fitness might be good. and lose weight, burn fat. Let's have a look at that. Okay, there we go. Now we're back to fitness. So fitness is, by far, in a way, a much more active keyword than losing weight, burning fat, and so on. All right. So if you have to compare, if you have to prioritize where you're going to put your advertising money, where you're going to put your SEO optimization, whether there's enough interest and activity in it, this would be something that indicates to me, if I have the choice, if these are the keywords that I've researched as being relevant to me, then I probably want to dig a little deeper into the fitness keyword first, because that's where the bulk of the activity might be. Okay. So again, top level view of it, it's not scientific data that's been processed and culled out and cleaned and whatever else. This is just Google kind of working out what it can based on what its database tells you. But it's a fairly big database, so that'll give you an indication. Now, if you want to see specifically which keywords are relevant to you, then you look at this and go, well, I don't really have a market in Hungary, Switzerland, Germany, Austria, Slovakia, and so on. The United States and Canada way down at the bottom. For the keyword wellness. However, if I go down here, I'll notice that United States and Canada for the red term, which is fitness, is pretty high. So this is good for me, right? So I'd be looking at United States, Australia, Canada, UK. These are my 4 core markets. If this word was internet marketing or list building or something, I'd be happy to see those. Okay, so that's a tool you can sort of play with. The other thing that you want to use, and when you're looking for the keywords that you want to put into this, is you've probably used the Google keyword tool somewhere along the line, and it's a kind of a long URL, so I always just Google for Google keyword tool, and I type it in here. Now, some people say, well, I don't really know what the keywords are that I want to use. It's kind of a new market to me, or I've figured out I've used all the keywords that I can. So here's what you do. You look at, let's say for example that you were thinking of yourself as your avatar, and you say, well, what is my avatar typically looking for? And you might say, they're looking for ways to lose 10 pounds in, let's say, lose 10 pounds. Okay. Now you're looking at this and you're seeing that the Dr. Oz Show here and How to Lose 10 Pounds as a magazine, these are all of the top SEO search results. So these are the sites that have the most relevance as far as Google's concerned to the phrase lose 10 pounds. So what you want to know is, well, what else are those sites optimized for? So you might go here to lose10pounds.prevention.com, grab this URL, okay, go back to the keywords tool and type it in here at the website. I got this part, themselves, NSRAP. PL. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, and now what you're looking for here is, if you click on global monthly searches, it's going to sort in descending order from the most frequently, the most active to the least active searches. And so what you're looking here now is all of the other terms related to losing weight that Google thinks this site is optimized for, particularly this web page. So it's telling you that if you want to optimize for the keyword phrase lose weight or lose 10 pounds, you might also want to be interested in optimizing for all of these other keywords. And so clearly here what you're looking at is, if you were going to do how to lose weight, this is how to lose weight. Isn't this interesting? Would you have guessed that the misspelling of how to lose weight, how to lose weight, is actually gets more searches in a month than how to lose weight? Kind of interesting, right? So oddly enough, if you wrote articles that had the phrase how to lose weight, you'd be doing pretty well optimizing for those 11 million searches every month. So here's where you get your ideas for keywords that you want to compare activity one against the other. And very often here, the global monthly searches will tell you. But there sometimes is a difference in the insights. Again, in insights, it will give you a long-term view of trends. So in this case, you're just looking at the current monthly searches. If you decided that, how weight loss, how to lose weight, if you decided these 5 were, interesting to you, and you wanted to see which one of those you wanted to optimize for, then you would take these, and let me see if I can copy them over. Just go over to Insights, and I'm gonna have to do it by hand. How do you lose weight? Loss of weight. Okay. Insights. How do you lose weight? loss of weight. How? Okay, so it's all about weight loss basically. And let me compare that to lose weight and how to lose weight. Okay. Okay, so that gives me a pretty good look at the idea that lose weight is increasingly more active as a search phrase, and then next how to lose weight, then loss of weight. See, this is kind of people make mistakes, but only to the same amount all the time. The people who are actually looking for the term, there's an increasing number. So this is again an interest that an indication that the interest in losing weight, whether it's loss of weight or lose weight, is on the rise, right? Over time, it's considerably bigger, considerably more interesting to people. Which would make sense. The more initiatives we have around losing weight and so on, the more people start looking and following for it. And every time there's a new TV show on losing weight, The Biggest Loser or Dr. Oz comes on or whatever, then the interest continues to grow. So now, obviously, you probably already know this about lose weight, but what I'm showing you is something that I know is going to show you the kind of graphs that you're looking for ideally. So if you don't, you see how this goes, it increases over time. That's the ideal situation. Now, if you don't see that, that should be a flag that, maybe you're not quite on the right track. Or at least that you may have to dig a little deeper to find either the right keywords or the right angle or something because you haven't found it yet, right? You're not going to see that. By the way, this is an iterative process. It's not like you come on here one time, you do the results, and you go, aha, I've got all my results. As you learn more about your markets, as you research your keywords, as you look at the websites of your competitors and so on, the more ideas you'll have and the more you'll be able to compare one against the other and get a sense of which are your best ideas. But right now, if all we wanted to know was, should I enter the weight loss market? Then this is basically saying, yeah, probably, because there's strong and growing interest in losing weight, and especially in the areas of US, Australia, Canada, UK. All right. So obviously, if you weren't an English-speaking teacher or coach, then of course there'd be really no point to you. You wouldn't be as concerned about the fact that these countries are doing well in terms of the search engines. Because you look at the map and you go, you know what, there's probably, I'm in Europe, there's not a lot of interest in weight loss around Europe. Maybe that's not the ideal market for me to go into. Unless I happen to be a European coach, but I can address a worldwide market by using English-speaking multimedia products. Okay. Now, some of the other things that we talked about, some of the other tools. Alexa, Alexa's good. I don't use Alexa as much anymore, but it's worthwhile kind of knowing about it because what you can do here is, let's just say, truth about abs, since we're on the on the whole diet and weight loss thing. Traffic. Okay, so. This is give you an idea. What you're looking for is, are there sites that are getting a lot of traffic in the industry, right? So this is really about activity. So remember when we said we're looking for footprints, evidence of interest and activity? So I would want to take, for example, and by the way, the ones that have advertising don't always get a lot of as much traffic as the free stuff, right? Because people don't always spend as much money to advertise as they will to optimize SEO. And a lot of these sites are not necessarily product sites or sales sites. They're opt-ins and things like that, right? So we're really kind of more concerned about the general content sites. And what we'd be looking for is the ones that are showing up for the keywords. Do they have a lot of traffic? I mean, if the most popular sites in the industry have 1,000 visitors a month, that's not very interesting, right? So here, what this is saying is that the Alexa traffic rank of all of the websites in the known internet, this is the 3,457th most popular site in the world. Okay, and that in the U.S. alone, it's less than 2,000. It's in the top 2,000 of all U.S. websites, and that's pretty good, right? I mean, this is saying that of all the sites in the world, the one about abs is way up there in the hundreds of millions of sites. This is less than 30 in the top 3,500. This is a good indicator that the market for abs and knowing about abs is good. And you can look at the other websites down here and their ranks and get a sense of like this one here, it's 16 million. Not doing too well, not a big deal. And there's going to be a lot of them that won't be doing well because they're not the top sites in the industry. But you want to look at the top sites and see how far up they get, because the ones that are doing well, they're the ones that are going to be evidence that the market's there. So this is a really good indicator. The thing that I like even more is going over to Quantcast, because if you're going to do any advertising on media where it's helpful to know what the demographics are, like Facebook, which is one of my favorites, then let's say I put, the one that I like here is jorgecruz.com as an example, because I know that's somebody that Evans interviewed before. Okay, so of all of the sites in the US, this is ranked in the top 23,000. And listen, anything less than 50,000 is excellent, okay? So, because he's reaching about 66,000 people monthly. In other words, that's how much traffic it gets to the site. So if he's getting 66,000 people monthly to the site, that's an indicator that what he's talking about is worthwhile. So what does he talk about? He talks about losing weight and burning belly fat and that kind of stuff. So of course I would also go to like the Google Keywords tool, and I would type in here. It's one of the top sites on the planet. I would type in jorgecruz.com and find out what Google thinks the whole site is optimized for. And then I'd sort them, and I'd look for which of these keywords are relevant to the market that I want to do, to the product that I want to create, to the idea that I have. And what I'm looking at is tons of monthly searches. And so if I'm in the lose weight market, the weight loss market, the lose fat market, this is all going to be evidence that yes, I'm on the right track. Now, again, you're going to have to compete in that market, so it's a kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, there's a lot of activity. On the other hand, there's a lot of people competing for that activity. But at least you know that the market is there, and so every active market is going to have competition. So you're going to want to do that. So this will give you a whole bunch of other ideas for keywords that maybe you hadn't thought of, and then as you go to those websites and do the what I'm about to do here, you'll also get a sense of who you can advertise to. Now, the thing I like about this, and by the way, this is all free information, right? So if I look at Jorge's site here, I mean, look at that. He's had as many as 117,000 people in a month. I'm guessing he's probably launched a book here or run a competition or something like that. So I would say on average, it looks like he's in around 50K a month. So that's really good activity, lots of traffic. But here's what's even more interesting is that if I want to advertise to this demographic, if I think to myself, that audience that Jorge has that is interested in burning belly fat and losing, being at your fit and trim weight and so on, if those are the guys that I want to talk to, then I want to advertise for them on Facebook. So one of the things I can do is find out what the demographics of these folks are. And the demographics on this site are largely female, between the ages of 35 and I'm going to say 65, without kids. So I'm going to assume that means single. Well, no, not necessarily. Let me see. Does it say married or not? No. Okay, so married or not, without kids. But here's the really interesting thing: 150,000 plus. So highly affluent. Interestingly enough, largely without college, but there's enough with college here in grad school. And largely Hispanic, which makes sense because Jorge Cruz is himself Hispanic, and it would make sense that he would appeal to an industry of the demographic of Hispanics. So what if I was Hispanic and I was thinking about putting out a product, and I was wondering, is the Hispanic market really active? Do they care about losing weight? And I found this site, and I see that 50,000 people go there. The majority of them female, between the ages of 35 and 65, making a lot of money and who are Hispanic. I'd say to myself, you know what? Maybe I will go after that market, and maybe I will create that product, and who knows? Maybe I'll even write it in Spanish. Who knows? So this is giving you a really good indicator, especially if you want to advertise on Facebook. These are the kind of demographic indicators you're going to select for when your ad shows up. Now you may, if you want, get a little deeper into it, and you may, get a premium subscription that gives you more detail. But I think this, again, I'm just looking for I'm just looking for an idea. I'm not a gut feeling. I'm not going to spend weeks and weeks trying to get this fine-tuned or anything like that. So this is just an indicator that, yep, if I were going to do a Spanish-speaking, weight loss thing, I'd look at affluent females between 35 and 65, and I'd have a pretty good shot. Okay, and that I could probably reach them through Facebook. Now, of course, then I would also, as I'm doing the ad, I would look at the keyword tool and I'd find all those words that I like, and I would put it into the Facebook ad creator and say, hey, I want to find all women between 35 and 65 who maybe live in North America, who have an income over $100,000, who are Hispanic, and who are interested in these keywords. So those keywords may show up in their profile. And in that case, you have a highly targeted group of people that you can then run an ad, offer a freebie to, and validate that your product idea actually has legs. Now, a lot of the stuff we're doing here, this is stuff that if you don't have a market, or if you don't have a list rather, or if it's a new market that this is how you can use the internet to do it. Of course, if you have your own list, you'll make more use of surveys and you'll create free reports and see how many people download them. You'll ask questions. You'll do open coaching calls. When you can reach your market, it's a whole lot easier. This is really for when you're kind of starting from scratch, trying to figure out how to build a list and wondering, is there even anybody out there that's interested in this idea that I want to create? Now, the other thing that you'd want to look for when you're looking at Google, like when you're looking at these keywords, and let's say that you decided that you wanted to look at weight loss plan, right? So you go to Google search for this, and what you're looking for here is there's a lot of other competitors, a lot of people. So these are ads that people are paying for, and these are ads that people are paying for. And if there are lots of ads that people are paying for to reach this keyword and that market, this is a good indicator that, there's a lot of money to be made here. The more ads there are, the more money there is likely to be made. Of course, the more competition there will be, and the more you'll have to get crafty about how you use the keywords and how you approach it, because these guys are all paying money to advertise. But the good news is there's a lot of people who are making money and they're willing to advertise, because if they're not making money, they won't advertise, right? So now what I like to do with this is I actually like to head over to the sales pages. When you're developing the avatar, the work we've been doing so far helps us to figure out the demographics and maybe the keywords that indicate some of the emotional hot buttons. But what I want to know is, these people who are selling these things, what do they think are the fears, frustrations, needs, and desires? So what I like to do is, let me just, for example, I won't click on this link so I don't charge Dr. Jennifer Bayer. It won't cost her for me to go over. But I'll go over to, I'm assuming this is going to be some kind of place where a sales letter or opt-in page or something. Okay, so this doesn't really look like a good marketing page. So it wouldn't be one that I would pay a lot of attention to. However, good quick read, and I'm going to get a sense of, she thinks a nutritious diet is important. She thinks that underlying cause of dysfunction. Okay, so what I'm learning here is that she hasn't taken our course, because what she's talking about here is what's important to her, what she perceives as important to her audience. Most of us don't really think about her approach that targets the underlying cause. What we care about is that we're going to get back to full health without drugs. So I'm not sure, this is expert speak, so I would probably sit there and say, I don't think I'll pay too much attention to that one. Let me look at Herbal Magic. Okay, these guys got to have their act together. They're big enough. Let's go into weight loss here. And again, if you focus your work, your research on the bigger players, the more successful players, the ones with a lot of money, chances are, they've done the research, they know how to do stuff properly, they've got their marketing figured out, then it's probably going to serve you better. Okay, let's take a look at programs, products, overview, weight control. Okay, fit perfectly into your lifestyle. All right, I see that as something that would be a need or desire. Specially designed products, enhance weight loss, maintenance phases. Okay, so maintaining a healthy weight. So that's another element that they see, that people not just want to lose weight, but they want to maintain a healthy weight. So that would be something that I'd want to test, and I'd pull this out as a potential need or desire, and mark it down in my list for further testing. Weight loss programs, specially designed. So this might be a unique feature that I might want to know that I'm competing against. They have a proprietary special design, not really relative to the avatar, but important for me when I'm positioning against this, to know that that's their position in the market. Enhancing their overall well-being. Yeah, nice concept, not very specific, but I get the idea there. Weight management promotes weight loss by okay, these are just product descriptions. There's no benefits, kind of not that interesting. Let me see if I can do something else. Why it works. Nope. Okay, programs. Designed with you in mind. Let's see. A personal coach. Okay, so that tells me that maybe they want, personal attention. When I'm creating a product, I want to know that people are responding to the idea of having a personal coach. And natural products. Okay, so this is a big deal, obviously, and that coincides with when I've done my research on the keywords. I found that yes, indeed, people are looking for alternatives to drugs. Important program elements with your personal motivation. Okay, lasting results, and so earlier we looked at maintaining weight loss. Here we're looking at lasting results. So that seems to be a key desire for my avatar, or at least for this avatar. Customized, okay, this is interesting, right? So customized to meet needs, coaching, natural lasting results, information and tools. So information, tools, and coaching. So that tells me if I'm going to have a product, ideally, if I give them the information, I give them the tools to implement, and then I help them put it into action as a coach, that would be a pretty good program, because that's what they're offering here. So as a product, when I'm thinking about my packaging and my content and so on, I'm going to be considering this. And of course, this is only one website, but it is a high-ranking, highly popular website. So it's helping me to get a sense, number one, of what the now there's no fears, frustrations mentioned here. This is focused on personal lasting results. It's focused on the positive, but I'm getting a little insight into my avatar. I'm getting a little insight into what my program components need to be. In-depth consultations. Okay, that's more coaching before you sign up. Right, so then I'm thinking that maybe these are the free consultations that we talk about all the time, right? Offering consultations, and then from the consultation going to enrollment. Health concerns, medical conditions, and current medications are okay. So this tells me about my avatar as well, right? I want to reassure them that even though I'm offering a natural alternative, that I'm medically astute and aware enough, or I've got a system and process in place that anything I give them that's natural is not going to be contraindicated or somehow aggravate or work against any of their existing medical conditions or drugs that they're on. So just in 2 paragraphs, I've gotten a pretty good idea. Now, I know you're going to say, of course, because we all know this stuff, or at least a lot of us do. But imagine that I had never heard of the idea of weight loss or herbal magic, and I was just targeting this avatar for the first time. That's a pretty good, those are pretty good bullets and bits of information about the avatar that then I want to test. I want to test, is it the lasting results that they really aspire to? Is it that it's natural that they really aspire to? Is that an important part of it? Is it that it's customized that makes the product important? And I may have thought of those things, or maybe not. So this one page has already given me 5 or 6 ideas for what I want to test or what I want to reach out. And I might put a Facebook ad out and test each one of these for 100 visits each to see what gets the most click-throughs. For 100 clicks each, to see how many impressions I need to get the click-through. So if I run one ad and I get 100 click-throughs in 1,000 impressions, I run another ad, I get 100 click-throughs in 10,000 impressions, I know which one is a more desirable outcome or bigger benefit to my avatar. So this is my favorite way of really looking, because modeling things that work is my favorite way of shortcutting. So if you would find the the sites that are most conducive, or that have the highest ranking, that have the keywords in the market that you're looking for, and then plug them in and go and see which plug in your keywords and see which sites are popular here. Visit them and look at their sales pages. Look at the best-selling products in your industry, and then take apart their sales letters, sign up for their newsletters, and even put yourself through their sales process. Call them and pretend that you're interested in a weight loss program. Watch how they do it. Watch how they get you on the phone, what they ask you, what they're looking for, what they're promoting, what features they're after, and see how good their whole process is. It's a little bit of reconnaissance that can go a long, long way. Now, a couple years ago, one of my favorite things to do was to dial in whatever infomercial I was watching that looked like it was really cool. I used to dial in and record the entire process. The upsells, the cross-sells, the free shipping, the one-time offer, the if you buy two, or what if you had three, and this time only. And I'm telling you what, man. And I would say yes, 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 yes until they said, okay, can we ship the order? Then I go, you know what? This has turned out to be a much more expensive thing than I thought I was getting into. Think I'll think about it and get back to you. And then I would hang up. And the poor salesperson just spent half an hour with me. But I'll tell you what, you really learn a lot about what they think is going to convert people. Now you don't have to use all of those things, but it's good to know. Okay. Now, what you're going to notice here, and I get asked this all the time, could you write me like a step-by-step list of how to do this? Well, not really. I mean, the step-by-step list is look at keywords, look at the associated websites, and then look at the sales letters. But what you're going to find is it becomes an ongoing process. It's an iterative process. And this is something you should be continuously doing in your market, right? You want to continuously look at what your competitors are doing, your most successful competitors are doing, so that you can get a sense that they're doing well because they're appealing to certain things. Like when somebody runs a promotion, look at their marketing and look at the things that they promote. This is not a one-time thing that you do on a Saturday morning and you've got it all figured out. Right now what we're looking for is, hey, is there a lot of commerce here? Yes. Is there a lot of traffic here? Yes. Do I understand the demographics? Yes. Do I get a sense of what keywords I might be after? Yes. That when you've come that far, then you're at the point where you're going, thumbs up, green light, this is worth moving forward on. Okay. The other thing is, if you happen to be if you're looking for ideas, this is another thing. Easy Articles is really handy. So now you've got some keywords. Now you know what industry you're in. If you go to Easy Articles, look up their experts, and let's talk about here lose weight, and search through the articles, and this will give you a tremendous idea of what people think are important. So what's the obvious thing here? Fast way to lose weight, truth about losing weight. Burning fat is as important as losing weight. Just the excerpt is telling me this, right? What about this? Again, quick weight loss, real truth, right? So that's the top two articles. So right away I kind of know that everybody seems to think this is important. Now, they may be right, they may be wrong, but at least they think this is the case, so it's given me something that I want to test. There's know how you can lose weight straight away, but it's not easy to say that quickly. Okay, let's see. Okay, best way. Okay, accurate, reliable, clearly stated information. And so what I'm getting here is people want to do it quickly, but they don't know who to trust. And if they could find some source of information that was trustworthy, that was accurate and could help them achieve quick weight loss, they might be interested. So this is kind of, from the first three, a position that I might test in the market by writing my own articles or writing my own ads. Motivation, okay, that I would think is one of the things that would be interested. Get and stay motivated. Losing weight fast again. Find a more natural way. Okay, so fast, natural, trustworthy alternatives. Fast, natural, trustworthy. Burning fat is as important as losing weight. For the body, good body. We flipped our old photos. Okay, so this is an interesting one. This is the person referring to, remember how you used to be when you were, in high school with that trim fit body. Now you have a big overweight body. So this is associating with, some of the embarrassment and shame and self-consciousness of overweight. So that's an interesting emotional trigger. Stop excusing yourself. Excuse themselves from believing. I don't think I learned this. Okay, so this is about motivation and excuses. So this might be how to hold yourself accountable. So that might be another thing that will be part of my product, right? So it's not just about having the information and the system and et cetera, et cetera. Here I'm going to include something that's going to make it real easy for you to hold yourself accountable to make sure you follow through. All right, so that's another good source of ideas, and because there's so many articles, right? Like there's like over 4,000, that says to me this is probably a fairly active market because there's well 100,000 different articles for the term lose weight. I mean, you, do you need any more evidence that this is an active area of interest for people? Okay, so if you had the time, you could go through each of these. If you didn't, you could outsource it. Have somebody go through all of the articles and just scan for, what are the things that they're promoting in the article. And you could also get them to take, like if this had, for example, if it was written well during, okay, so this says drink water. Let's have a look. Pills, eating less, drink water, lose weight shakes, fast food diet, working out. So you might have somebody look at if there's an article that gives tips or has an action sequence or steps, that they would put this into a section called what people are advising. And then you would have an entire list of what everybody else out there is telling people to do. And you could look at that and go, yep, I agree with this. I don't agree with that. I'm going to write my own article to set the record straight. I'm going to write a blog post. I'm going to do a video, whatever else. And you could either expand, emphasize, confirm the ideas, or come up with your own system that says, well, I like the idea about drinking water. I don't like I don't like shakes. I definitely like the idea of working out, and then you're going to write an article with your 3 tips, which is drink more water, eat better, work out, and give them specific ideas on what to do. All right, so what we're looking for here is a couple things. Number one is activity. Is there a lot of interest in the sites where people promote? Are there a lot of successful products in the area? And then if there are, how are you going to position it? So you're going to be looking, as you're looking at the activity, you're going to be culling out the features, the benefits, the fears, and the frustrations. And you just take careful notes. You can use a mind map, you can use a spreadsheet, or you can outsource the whole thing to someone for $5-10 an hour. In a day, you can have all your research done. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the tools you can use. Of course, you could also look at groups. One of the things you could look at here is bigboards.com. If you want to look through discussion groups, you look at all of the different forums and boards there are online and see how many there are related to your industry. Again, we're just looking for, are there 100 groups with 10 people each, or there are 1,000 groups with 1,000 people each? And then you could even dig in a little bit to each one of them and read the most active posts to find out what people are most interested in, or what challenges they're asking about the most, or whatever else. Okay, so that's how you would use big boards. Social media, of course, you can go on Facebook and look at all the groups on Facebook, look at all the pages on Facebook. And again, if there are 1,000 pages around a topic, it's probably interesting. If there's 2 pages on the topic, probably not so interesting. So then you go to the most active pages, the one with the biggest fans, and look through the wall and find out which posts are getting the most engagement. And that'll give you an idea, number one, that there is engagement, and number two, what specifically can you use as a topic matter, as an idea for creating a product to solve a problem. You want to write a 3 mistakes report, and you go onto a fan page and you find out that people are really complaining about they can't lose weight because because they just can't stop going to McDonald's. Well, you could write a 3 mistakes report that says, the 3 mistakes that keep you overweight, and talk about, you're going to McDonald's all the time. Here's what you should do instead. You're spending too much time in front of a computer. Here's what you should do instead. And so you're looking for ideas for content and products all the time. Now, even with these kinds of things here, what you're going to look for is the most popular articles, right? Again, here's another thing. If you can drill down into your particular area, business, to small business, entrepreneurialism. Let's look at that. Okay. And now they've changed the interface a little bit, but you could look at the top authors. Okay. And they've got, couple hundred articles each, that's fairly active, right? Um, you want to look at the top authors, and I'm not seeing it right now in the interface, but there's also a way to look at the top articles. In other words, which articles have the most views, because that's an indicator of interest. Now, what these people are good for is if you need an expert to interview, or if you need somebody to write a special report for you, or if you need just to talk to somebody who give you a couple of ideas, or do a guest blog post or something for you, these are folks that are out there trying to get themselves noticed. So it's an interesting other connection. Now, you will also want to look at recency, right? So they talk about recency and frequency in marketing. So recency is about making sure some of these articles, actually are relevant recently. So they're not like 25 years old or something, and that there are enough of them, because some things are popular for a period of time and then they're not anymore. So if nobody's continuing to write about those things now, that could be, it's not necessarily, but it could be an indicator that maybe it's lost interest. And so you want to combine that with some of these other tools to sort of get a sense of it. Now, again, this is going to give you a sense of the interest. It's going to give you a sense that there are products in the market that are selling well, but even more importantly, it's going to give you insight into what are the needs, the fears, frustrations of your avatar, and what are the product elements that you need to consider: packaging, pricing, what deliverables, what's included in the product, how people consume it. This is all going to come to you as you do this. And I suggest you spend like initially 20 minutes a day for a few weeks to get started, and then just check in like once a week and browse around for new things. The other thing that you could do is if these sites have RSS subscriptions, like here, right? Here's the career advice RSS feed. Just bring that into your favorite RSS reader like Google Reader or whatever else, and then you don't have to visit all the sites independently. You just have all of the new news coming in. You get into Google Reader, and in 20 minutes on a Saturday, you can look at all of your sites, all of the new updates on all your sites. And that's, I call that a listening station. It's a great way to keep tabs on your market. Okay, so I'm going to stop with that because I know this stuff can feel kind of confusing. And so what I'm going to recommend is you go back and you listen to the recording, and then just hang out with Google Keywords for a while. Hang out with Easy Articles for a while. Do your Quantcast, do your insights, and get to know how to use it, how it works for you. And just keep in mind what you're looking for is footprints. You're looking for evidence of demand and interest. You're not looking for specific numbers. Like, don't worry. In Google Keywords, everybody says, well, how many searches does it need to have every month for me to think it's okay? Well, obviously, if it has 100 or 200 searches, that's not really going to give you a lot of business. But so, be reasonable about it. 10, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 searches a month. Depends on how niche a market it is, depends on how much competition there is, and so on. The more competition and the more niche a market it is, the more searches you need. So it's not an absolute number, right? Because you could be selling a high ticket item into a niche that only has 2,000 searches a month and no competition, and do very well. So again, these are rules of thumb. You're just looking for something to support your idea. If you have an idea that you only need to sell 1,000 of to make $1 million because they're each $1,000, then you don't need 100,000 searches a month. And probably that level of search, you're going to get a lot of competition. So look for more specific niches, more targeted problems to solve, and you'll be fine. So it's not an absolute number. It's just a feeling that, I know people are out there. I see where they are on the boards. I see where they are on the websites. I see that there's a lot of activity. Let me run a couple of Facebook ads and see if I can reach them. And then you test your assumptions. Okay, and you run those Facebook ads. If you get no response, you come back and start all over again here. Then run some ads. No response, come back here and dig some more. Run some ads, boom, you hit the response, then you're on track. Okay. Did I just sound like Emeril Lagasse there? Boom. Does he say bam? I don't know. Okay, so let's see where we're at with our presentation here. So again, this is really as much an art as it is a science. Just look for the big footprints, for loud presence, lots of blogs, lots of boards, lots of activity, lots of advertisers. The more you have, the better. Now, if you're an analytical type, then you could create a weighted score matrix. Like you could say Google Insights and then rate it from 1 to 5. and you could say forums, and then list all the forums that you found there and rate those from 1 to 5. And then you could say keywords, and list the keywords and how many searches they get, and rate that 1 to 5. And then just assign a value, how important each one of those things are, multiply the two together, add them all up, and if, as a percentage, if it's more than 75%, then you might say green light, ready to go. You could get that analytical about it if you want. I rarely do. I just kind of look at stuff, and if it doesn't seem like it has a really big, obvious demand, then I make the choice of saying, well, I'm going to have to dig deep to find this, or I go, maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all, and try my next idea. Okay. Here's the thing that I want you to ask yourself: would you be convinced to fund a project based on what you're seeing? Right? So put yourself in the shoes of an investor. Pretend that somebody was coming to you with the data that you found. Would you be convinced? And let's say that it's good to get a market ramped up might take 2 or 3 months, and it might take $2,000 in advertising expense, and it might take another $1,000 or $2,000 in website design and content, whatever. So let's say between $2,000 to $5,000 over the next 90 days. Plus, let's assume that you were paying yourself, $50 an hour. And let's say that was a $10,000 investment. Now, based on what you're seeing, based on the results that you got, would you be willing to pay $10,000 to pursue that? That's usually a pretty good indicator. If you say to yourself, no way, I wouldn't part with $10,000 to go after that, then don't fool yourself. Don't pretend it's not real money, because it is. It's real money. It's your time. You're going to be spending it. You're going to be developing ads. You're going to be doing products. You're going to be paying for advertising and website designers and all the rest of it. But more importantly, you're not going to be working on something that could be making money. So in the end, if you look at your evidence and you go, doesn't feel like something I'd invest 10 grand in, then you either have to find more evidence or you've got to find another idea. Okay, that's kind of that's my acid test, my litmus test. Okay, so now what I want to do is answer a couple questions, and it looks like actually every time I go through this, I feel like I go around in circles with this conversation, because it's so hard to get a handle on it. And all I can really say to you is this: ultimately, this is easier to do than to explain. And so if you just go down that checklist of things that I have on the slide, insights, trends, keywords, Alexa, Quantcast, forums, social media, Ezine articles, and then look at your competitor things. Just spend time going from one to the other in a list, in a sequence. Just spend a day doing it, and you're going to get a better feeling for your market than to try to do this, because it's a little bit heady, right? It's a little bit abstract. It's probably something you never tried before. And all I can say is it won't make any sense until you try it, and even then it won't make a whole lot of sense. So just be very intuitive about the results you see. If you see a lot of discussion, a lot of activity, a lot of sales pages, a lot of products for sale, then that's good enough to say, good, I'm going to go to the next level and test out and see if I can find my space in this market. And then all of the successful sales pages that you find and all of the great articles that you find, use them to give you ideas about what your product should be addressing in terms of avatar fears and frustrations, needs and desires. And that's it. Don't spend months on this. I'm talking about one Saturday, and that should give you an idea whether you want to continue it or not. Okay, I know it sounds kind of vague, but I can really just only encourage you to try it. Spend the time, go through my little checklist of places, visit them, get to know them, see the kind of information is there, and after you've been through it once or twice, 3 times, then it's going to feel like, okay, good, this is showing me something I want to know and something I don't. And also, you don't have to use all of them every time. You may find that Facebook is enough. If you found that if you search Facebook groups and you run a couple of ads, that's enough to prove your market, fantastic, right? Make it your own. This is a list of all the things you can do. Do the ones that are easy first, but do focus on, I like Quantcast, I like the keywords, and I do like looking through the articles and blogs. And of course, more important than anything for me, go through your competitor sales letters. Put yourself on their newsletters, subscribe to everything they do, go to their webinars, become one of their customers, find out what the product life cycle and support is like. Uh, get on their phone calls and free consultations, um, and then take the best of it, all of that stuff and say, okay, here's how I'm going to do mine. Um, and here's it makes you very, very confident when you find 5 competitors that are selling stuff and you go through their sales process and you realize, man, if I was a customer, I'd really like this and I wouldn't like that and I would really like that. You're going to get great product ideas and you're going to have the confidence that there really is a market there for you. Okay, so really go for that. Okay, let me see this. It seems to me that the first thing I need to do is establish a website. What's your opinion of using Squidoo? I wouldn't use Squidoo for a website, Wally, necessarily. And it's not necessarily the first thing you need to do. Probably the first thing you need to do is have a way to build a list. And I don't think Squidoo really would do that. I think that I would put my own website up, maybe a WordPress blog with a couple of landing pages, or maybe a fan page with a tab that I can drive traffic to. You don't need a website presence initially until you figure out that you do have a market and you have a product, or unless you're doing content marketing. If you're doing content marketing through videos, through articles and stuff like that, you're going to get a lot more mileage out of putting it on your blog. And just put something on Squidoo. If you're going to use Squidoo for its traffic, just put something on there that points back to your blog. So build your assets using social media assets. Don't put all your best content on there. Put some good content on there and encourage people to leave the social media site and come onto your blog and engage with you there. That's going to be the best. So engage with you there and actually join your list. Have you found a way for us to interact as a class yet? Yes, I got Evan's thumbs up that I can start a group, so I'll probably announce that. We'll start a Facebook group for everybody to connect, and I'll let you know about that as soon as I get it set up. Will this be different than the advanced tech tool? No, we're going to probably cover a lot of the same stuff, so you don't need to, if you don't need to attend both. I really recommend you only attend one. Perfect topic, thank you, good idea. Okay, audio died. Yes, hold on, guys. I have to delete these one at a time. Man, there are like hundreds of comments here, which is great. Although some of them are they're just yes, good, hello, I can hear you, this kind of thing. So, is this on PowerPoint or Keynote? I'm using Keynote right now, Joe. Okay. Catherine says AdWords.google.com is great for monthly word search. Yeah, AdWords.google.com is very similar to the Google Keywords tool here. Yes, Catherine, you're right. That is very good. Just because you received a lot of yes doesn't mean there isn't a lot of no's. Yeah, that's true. How did you get to the trends? You went so fast for me. Okay, how did I get to the trends? If you ever have any trouble with any of these things, you can go to Google and just search. Obviously, they're going to put their stuff at the beginning, right? So you say Google Trends, and these are the hot trends, and these are the website trends. And also, if you want to look for Google Insights, okay, it'll be the first one there, and Google Keyword Tool, and it's the first one there. Okay. Is there a useful way to organize this data to get the overall reason for researching it? Well, again, you could do that keyword thing. I think you could even do a mind map. Just have a mind map that says, features, benefits, demographics, websites, keywords. You could just do that. If you're very analytical, you could do a spreadsheet that basically, I had a spreadsheet where I showed people how to do this, but let me just do it for you real quick. All right, so here's a spreadsheet. So let's say, for example, you said, I want to look at keywords. So I say lose weight, and I'm not going to keep score here, but let's just say lose weight, burn fat, healthy weight loss, etc. And I would say products. I would say, product1.com is selling very well, product2.com is selling very well, product3.com is selling very well. And then I would basically say like score, let's say 1 out of 10. So this has, this has traffic over 100,000, so I'm going to give it 10. This has traffic about 50,000, I'm going to score it 7. This has very little traffic, I'm going to score it 1. And then I'm going to say, weight. In other words, so let's say, for example, keywords are more important than on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is that? I'm going to say it's it's fairly important. I'll say it's 8. And so what I'm going to now do is I'm going to multiply this times that to get a number, and I'll do that to get a weighted score. Okay, whoops, this is not quite right, is it? There you go. And then in the end, I'm going to add it all up, and I'm going to say I'm going to take the average of all this as a percentage, and here I could say how much traffic. I could use how many blogs are there, how many groups are there, what about the demographics? Do I understand them well? How about media? Can I see media that I can reach people with? And just give it a score. You can get specific on a product by product basis, or you can do an overall ranking. Then take an average of all this, and I would say, like, if this works out to greater than or equal to 75%, then I would give it a green light. Okay, you can do something like that. And these are the criteria that are important for you to determine. Like for me, I would put this, to me, would really mean competition. Whoops. But why can't I do this? So I might say competition. And I would rank it. How important is how much competition? That's 10 to me. Is there a lot of existing traffic? And I'd say here, on a score of 1 to 10, there's a lot of competition. It's not a crazy market, but it seems to be there. I might also score, there's another one, you might think about irrationality. If there's evidence that people just buy this no matter what, like they're crazy. If you were researching the golf market, you would see that there's a high irrationality factor. Score that 8, and I would say that that's an important thing. Okay, so you can use the things that we talked about, keywords, traffic, other sites, trends, insights, all of those things. But you can add your own too, right? The factors that are important in your market, like you might say, are there authority figures in there already? Are there best sellers in the market already? Those might be factors that you consider, and then just add them all up, take the average of the total score as a percentage, and then you decide, am I good to go on 50%, 75%, 80%, whatever? Obviously, the higher your requirement, the more stringently you have to do your research. But that's, if you want to organize it, that's the way you do it. Now, the other thing I would probably do is I would say fears, frustrations, needs, desires, right? And product. So I might say, like, let's say there was truthaboutabs.com, and I would say fears, frustration is inconvenience, but lifestyle convenience. So convenience would be one. Fears, frustration is drugs. So the need, desire would be natural. Fears, frustration would be shame, embarrassment, death, cancer, all that kind of stuff. And here I might find it might be pride, esteem. Here I might say skinny jeans. They want to fit back into their skinny jeans. Longevity, health, well-being. Okay, and then so as I'm reading, now of course these are just generic things I'm making up as I go, but as I'm reading this truthaboutabs.com page, I'm looking for the fears, frustrations, needs, desires, and the lifestyles. And then if I want, I can also add topic ideas or product features. Well, I would actually do this. For the product, I would say pros, cons. So what is it about the product that I like? What features and benefits, packaging, pricing does it have? And what are the things that I think I could do better? And I would do that for each of the sales letters. Okay. Now, for me, the spreadsheet works well here. I probably would put this into a mind map because I tend to do everything these days in a mind map. But this is better done in a spreadsheet, of course. But I would probably do this in a mind map because it can sort of grow and evolve as you go with it. Okay, so That's if you want, if you want to organize this in a way that you can refer to it later, um, and see how much demand there is, or to do it in a way that feels a little bit more concrete, more specific, that's probably the way I would recommend you start looking at it. Okay, more questions. Can you provide a high level of what each site is used for in the demo you're providing? Hopefully I have by now. Katrina says this is awesome. Good. Katrina, thank you, because every time I do this, I feel like, man, I'm maybe causing more confusion than not. This is not something a lot of people delve into a lot, but it's so important. It can give you so much leverage, because I'm a big fan of finding out what's already working, especially when I'm new to something. I don't want to have to go through the work and figure it out all out by myself. I want to find out what's working first and do as much of what's working. And then, of course, I'm being more successful and more masterful, then I can improvise a little bit more. But in the beginning, to get things ramped up, it's all about time to market, speed of implementation. So just let me find out what other people are doing successfully, put my spin on it, and do what works. So that's what this kind of thing allows you to do. And also, by the way, listen, if you honestly don't pass that investment test on your own, think carefully about whether you're fooling yourself or whether it's really worth your time to do. Is there a way to see what most interesting keywords are per country? Yeah, there is a way in the Google Keyword Tool that you can do local searches. So you can specify locations and just do it per country, and then you could get the search results based on those countries. How much does it cost to use Google AdWords? Google AdWords itself is free, but if you advertise, you're going to pay. It's different depending on each keyword. It's an auction basis. So depending on how much other people are bidding, and depending on how much traffic is for the keyword, and depending how good you're advertising in other words, they make money if your ad gets clicks. So if you get a lot of clicks, you pay less. If you don't get enough clicks, you pay more. So when you put together an ad in Google AdWords, it will tell you how much you can expect to pay. And then you can decide how much you want to pay. You can say, well, yes, you expect me to pay $2. I'm only willing to pay 50 cents, and then you'll get as much traffic as 50 cents will buy you. Does this also include foreign languages? It does, but it's not really as comprehensive. I've not found it to be as good for foreign languages, the Google keyword stuff and so on. So for foreign markets, I think I would probably be looking more at how many other products there are, how many competitors, how many successful sites, how many blogs, how many forums. I wouldn't look so much on Google AdWords. Now, I could be wrong because I don't have a lot of international experience on that, but when I've talked to people from like France or Asia or whatever, they kind of tell me it's not quite the same. Where do these key phrases go? Yeah, the key phrases go in all of your content that you put on the web that you want people to find you for. So if you write a blog post, if you write a Facebook post, if you write an article, if you are doing a YouTube video, you want to use the keyword phrases that you want Google to match when people are searching for those phrases. So everywhere you possibly can, where it makes sense to the reader, you don't want to make it look artificial, but when you're writing, wherever you can use the keywords that people are searching for, then you have a higher probability that your content will be retrieved in the search engine results here by Google. Okay. What's too much competition and what's too little? I think I handled that, right? Too much competition, there's no such thing really as too much competition, other than the more competition there is, the more crafty you're going to be, the more savvy your marketing's going to need to be, and probably the more money you're going to need to spend on advertising. But I don't think there is too much. I mean, as long as you can find a unique niche or a unique angle to go into it, unless it's completely dominated by some really big players. But even then, I mean, people do well. You just have to find a way not to compete with them directly, but find your own niche, because there are some things that big players won't waste their time and money on because it's too small for them. But for us, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million is great. It's not enough money for a big company to work on, but it's good income for us, right? So if we can find a way to discover those opportunities, then don't worry that there's too much competition, but be prepared to have to work a little harder to get the attention of the audience, because you're going to be competing on traffic, on ad budget, on SEO, so you might have to get a little craftier. Can I use these Google tools without making an account? Yes, you can. They're publicly available. For AdWords, for the keyword tool, if you do an account, it gives you more results, but you can do fine with the public tool. I think you get 50 or 100 results, which is more than enough. Mike says, with the Google keywords, are they language specific? Searching for car in English speaking countries versus automobile in Europe. Um, Well, you're talking about two English words, so I don't think that that's going to be as big a deal. But I mean, we use the word automobile here too, and it's not just a European word. But it probably, they probably don't say car in there in the UK and Europe too much either. So if you find that there's a keyword and you want to know specifically those keywords relative to the country, then just specify the country in the Google Keywords tool, and you're going to get results for those countries alone. So that's a way to, if it's English here and English there, if you're going to find automobile in the United States, you're going to find it in the UK. And this way you can distinguish between the two. Okay, how do we read the numbers to find a niche market that isn't oversaturated? So hopefully I've addressed that. And, again, it's not always about the numbers, right? Sometimes it's about, here's what I would do. Again, if you find that there's a lot of activity and there are a lot of products selling into that market, that's just go for it. I mean, try advertising and try getting it, because who knows what saturation is. There are markets that people feel have been saturated, that somebody comes in and finds a really unique way to address it, and boom, suddenly it turns out it wasn't so saturated after all. Number one. Number two, very few markets are like oversaturated. Many folks, especially if it's a problem like weight loss, you would think weight loss is an oversaturated market. I mean, there's millions of products available for weight loss, but you know what? That market is irrational, and that market is constantly looking for more new ideas, more tips, more techniques, more strategies. So is it oversaturated? I mean, on the surface, it looks like, but there's an insatiable desire for more and more information in there, and there's a constant new stream of people coming into the market. As people age, they typically tend to have more weight problems. So I don't, can it ever be oversaturated? I don't know. But the challenge is, if there's a lot of competition, you've got to get crafty. You're gonna have to get smart. You're gonna have to fight for your space in it. Because there's going to be a lot of other people fighting for the same space. Kind of like going into your favorite department store, Wednesday morning compared to the day before Christmas. A whole lot of different, a whole different scenario. You're going to have to fight harder to get those last pair of gloves, or that special toy for your child than you would, in October on a Wednesday afternoon. All right, so that's it for our beginner session. We will be starting our professional session here in just a few minutes. I want to thank you if you were here for the beginner session. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the many questions and for showing up, because you show up. I get to do this work. It's fun and fulfilling, and hopefully it was very helpful for you. I know this is a subject that sometimes makes your head cloudy, but hang in there. It'll get clearer and better as you go. I promise you. Just take the time to master this a little bit, and come over next week with all your questions. Okay? So till we talk next week, look forward to connecting with you. Have a great week, and for now, good night. Namaste. Bye-bye.